All right, everybody, welcome back live at Drew's house. Another edition. Hope everybody is doing okay. Very excited about my guest today. Brendan Sargent joins us. He's originally from Worcester, Massachusetts, and now calls California home. We're speaking to him on the day that, and he can't tell us how this goes. Anybody familiar with television taping and all that good stuff knows that why he can't tell us this, but he's going to be on Jeopardy, the program that is airing tonight, this week, whatever. He's going to be on Jeopardy. So we can ask him how that experience went, how he did with all this stuff and all that, but he can't tell us if he won and all that good stuff. So here we are, Brendan Sargent. There's your intro. How you doing, man?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Well, this has been a pretty fun experience, huh?
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah, it's been surreal, and I've been waiting to tell people about it for 2 months. Well, really like 4 months. So it's probably the longest I've ever kept a secret like that.
That's unbelievable. I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah, I found out it was over Thanksgiving break. So when I got the original call, and then I shot the episode on January 20th. So
wow,
it's been a while. Yeah.
All right, very cool. So that is one long secret. You doing okay with it? Have you almost slipped a couple of times or what?
I think I was like technically allowed to tell a couple people I was on the show. And so I let it leak out little by little just to like people I could trust. Basically the big thing is like, don't put it on social media. Don't go public with it. And so, my family knew I was on, I had to tell my boss, which was very exciting, because, I took the day off. So, it was eating me up a little bit, but it was also like, knowing I truly was not allowed to tell people made it a little bit easier and made it a little bit fun.
So if you're on, even for people who don't know, if you're on Jeopardy and you keep winning and you're winning and you're winning, you're really still only there for like a day, right? Because they film a bunch of episodes at once. Yeah,
they film 5 episodes a day. So like a week's worth of episodes in a day, yeah.
All right, so there you go. Very, very intense. And what was the deal with, because we're talking guest host now after the death of the great Alex Trebek. How did that work out for you? Who was the guest host?
Tonight's host is Katie Couric. So she started last week, and she is the first ever female host, which is very cool. And she's obviously like a TV legend. So I didn't know it was going to be her. There were rumors about, I was watching the Ken Jennings episodes, obviously. And then I think the executive producer host in between. And so I had no idea who was going to be there when I got there. And I was really excited that it was Katie Couric because I've watched her on TV as long as I watched anything else. So
yeah, and hey, you're part of history too. You're on the show with a female host.
Very cool.
That is,
and she was the best. I mean, she's doing a great job hosting, which is its own like very difficult thing to do. But she was also very kind and very like generous with her time with the contestants and everything that you would think she was like when you see her on TV, which was really cool.
Yeah, take me backstage a little bit. What's that like? You actually have time to like bounce stuff back and forth with Katie Couric and all that, or?
Actually, no, but mostly because of COVID. So COVID kind of changes things up. So I've never been on Jeopardy before COVID, obviously. So I don't know exactly how they did it, but my understanding was that there was sort of a green room and it was like kind of small, and that's where all the contestants would be. And then, they tape an episode, you get to watch it on the monitor. And then when that episode's done, they're like, all right, 2 more up, let's go. But it was a little different this time because there's no studio audience and because the green room is just too tight. And so we hung out actually, the green room, the makeshift green room was actually the Wheel of Fortune set. And so all the contestants were waiting in the Wheel of Fortune area. And then when it was time to tape episodes, we were the studio audience. So we got to sit and watch the games live. And then, basically like between episodes, Katie would go back to the green room area. I'm guessing just to prep for the next episode because it's so much to like do and multitask. But in between commercial breaks and as we were, setting up and she was just like hanging out on set and chatting with us. And she took a selfie at one point of the 3 people on stage, which was very cool. And I'm hoping to see that at some point. I'm sure she, is busy, but I would hope to see that at some point.
I don't know. I'm sure it's top of her priority list. That's what so you mentioned how tough that job is. Did you notice any nerves from Katie herself? Because I imagine she knows what shoes she's filling of Alex Trebek. That's going to be a lot of pressure on every guest host.
Yeah, she's such a pro that you wouldn't know. She talked about it a little bit more than actually showed any nerves, if that makes sense. Like she was very quick to credit Alex and how easy he made it look, and that was what everybody kept saying too. Like Alex just made it look really easy. But if when you're doing something for 37 years or whatever, it's very much second nature. So yeah, she would kind of poke fun at herself if she would mess up or something, but it didn't happen very often. And she's such a pro that she just kind of rolled with it, which was when you're watching somebody do something like that and also like run a game show. It's one thing to like be on TV, which she's done forever, but the actual running of the game show is there's just so many literally like moving pieces. There's tech, there's like really intense laws around game shows. So you have to like be very careful. It's crazy. I give her all the credit in the world.
So Katie Couric had command and you were impressed.
Yeah, I guess that's the headline.
Excellent. Again, joined here by Brendan Sargent, formerly of Worcester, on Jeopardy here, appearing on the first show that Katie Couric is hosting, the first female host of the show. So that's a very cool thing. I have to ask you very generically, besides being very smart, how do you end up on Jeopardy?
I've been thinking a lot about this because somebody asked me in another interview, like, did I get voted most likely to end up on Jeopardy? And all I could think was like, no, I I would say about half the kids I went to high school with were smarter than me. So I'm guessing I wouldn't have even been on the ballot for that type of superlative. But
where did you go to high school?
I went to St. John's at Shrewsbury, and I went to school with a lot of smart kids. But I gravitated to trivia, I think, in part because it was, ironically, in part because you didn't have to really be all that smart. Like, it's more about breadth than depth. So I wanted to know a little bit about a lot of stuff, and that was satisfying to me. Whereas I think people who are really smart want to know a lot about a few things. So it was more of just a natural curiosity. I also grew up watching Jeopardy. Like, literally every night that I was home, I was watching Jeopardy. We would it's from a very young age. My family and I would keep score, and there was a clear progression of getting older and starting to actually beat my dad in a game of Jeopardy, because my dad is a whiz. And so I don't know, I just always loved trivia, and now I host virtual trivias for friends and family and for corporate events and stuff. And I don't know what it is. I have a real affinity to it.
That's interesting. So you like to know a little bit about a lot of topics. That makes a lot of sense to me. And
yeah,
because a lot of those Jeopardy topics are of that category. Like, if you're a diehard Red Sox fan, you don't necessarily have to be a diehard Red Sox fan to get the Red Sox answer on Jeopardy, right?
Right. That's exactly right. And that makes it a lot easier to study for too. I think the hardest things to study for are movies and sports. And those are my two strongest categories in terms of Jeopardy. Those are, because I don't know how if you're not a movie person or a sports person, I don't know where you even start. But I happen to be a movie and sports person my whole life. It was things like U.S. presidents were really tough for me, because I know a very little bit, but I don't know the names of all the first ladies, or where people's presidential libraries are. There's just little pieces of information. So I ended up making a lot of flashcards. In fact, I can show you, because I still have it. This is my bucket of flashcards here, that I was obsessed with for the last 4 or 5 months, and now I have nothing to do with it. I don't know what to do with this bucket of flashcards, but yeah, because they don't go too deep in Jeopardy. They're not asking you, I don't know, they're not asking you crazy stuff that you would have to have a degree to know. You just they're just asking kind of the surface level stuff. So
surface level is a good way of putting that. How many categories are in that flashcard bin?
Oh boy, I tried to focus on the ones that I would need easy recall for. So there's a lot of diagrams of bones and muscle systems and stuff, because that was not a strong suit of mine. And then a lot of opera and classical music. That was a big one too, because I had nothing there. And then a lot of capitals, world capitals. I already knew all the state capitals because I memorized them in 4th grade for no reason. And so the world capitals were big, and then bodies of water. Yeah, just everything. It feels like everything was in there, everything that was studyable. And to be honest with you, I actually don't really remember the questions. I remember the ones I got wrong tonight, but I don't really remember anything else. And so I'm excited to see how much the flashcards even came in handy. In my memory, there was only one question that I got that I was like, oh, I have a flashcard for that. Everything else, I don't even know where it came from. So we'll see.
That's funny. But probably it's like, if I remember teachers telling you this back in the day, even if you're not getting those exact questions, you're like training your mind to practice for that, right?
Totally, yeah. So there's a website called J Archive that's like this incredible fan-made, fan-run site that has every single clue ever, every game, every outcome, every question, like literally everything. And so my wife and I would like pretty much every night after dinner, we would like throw it on the TV. She would read questions. I would stand next to the couch, like as if I was at the podium, and I would fake buzz in with a pen and see how many and then keep track of how many I got right. And yeah, I probably played, I don't know, 300, 500, I don't know. So a lot of those games, not all with her, but a lot of them with her, because it's a lot, it's a lot more authentic if somebody's reading the questions to you.
I feel like the pandemic may have played a role in that. I think we had some time to kill and said, you know what, we're doing this.
Yeah, it certainly helped to have no plans for the last year. That made it a lot easier.
That is funny. So is it fun when you're actually up there? I mean, do you enjoy yourself, or is it just stress city?
It was so fun. It was that was, I think, another part that I was expecting to be a huge ball of nerves, and I was. But when the experience was over, I was all I wanted to do was play again. Like, not even if it wasn't for money, I was just like, oh man, I want another crack at the board. I just want to play again. It was so fun. That was a big takeaway for me.
And you haven't even, it just hit me that you mentioned that a couple minutes ago. So you haven't seen a copy of the show. I mean, you haven't watched anything back.
Nope. And they tell you that too. They're like, you think that you'll remember this experience, but you will watch the episode and not remember anything. And truly, I can only think of one question that I didn't answer that I knew, and I was really mad at myself, and I'll never forget it. And then I remember one that I got wrong because I rushed it, which usually when I watch Jeopardy, I'm really harsh on people who do that, and I won't be harsh anymore, because it's just like, it's so high pressure, and you read the clue really fast and you're like, okay, I know the answer, and then you just wait to buzz in. So if you misread the clue, then you're going to buzz in with the wrong answer and look like an idiot. And I did that. I think actually I did it a couple times, so that's exciting.
We'll be able to tell tonight which ones those are when you have that grimace on your face of,
oh yeah, and I'm sure there's one where I answer confidently and then I'm really surprised that I'm wrong because I don't realize it. And then there's one where I answer, but as I'm saying it, I'm realizing that it's wrong, and so I kind of like trail off at the end. Those are the only two I remember. But I got a couple right, so I'm excited to see those ones too.
Well, you're a Jeopardy guru. There are different ways to play the game as far as how to attack the board, where to start, what the categories. What was your approach to this game?
I tried not to have one. I know my limitations, and I'm not, you see like Jennings and Holzhauer, they probably know every question on the board, right? Like there's a chance they know every question. And so then it's just like, do I have the buzzer skill, and like, should I just go for the big money ones? And I wasn't confident in my buzzer because I had never played before. And I wasn't like, that I'm a strong trivia player, but I'm not in like this like elite crazy trivia player. So I couldn't go full like bottom row, let's get 10 grand and like wrap this thing up in the first round. I wish I could, but it wasn't an option. So I just kind of went like, I tried to focus on the categories I thought I'd be strong in. And then you're also looking at your own, you're looking at the scores. If you ever look when people get like a daily double, they have a second to look. They're always looking kind of over here, and it's because the scores are displayed up there. And so I was looking at that a lot because I was kind of like, all right, I'm down by this much, or I'm up by this much, whatever it was. Like I might want to go big here, or like, like find a bigger one here, or there's a little bit of time left, so I'm gonna like kind of change my strategy a little bit. I tried to just do it as it went. I don't even know really how that went. I'm excited to see it, but I certainly didn't have like one of these strategies that, you know, people write books about and game theory essays about. It wasn't that complicated.
Again, we're joined here by Brendan Sargent, formerly of Worcester, about to watch himself on Jeopardy for the very first time, which is a fascinating thing. Is it going to be weird? I mean, what do you do? Do you have nobody's having parties in a pandemic, but I mean, do you sit down with your wife and like have a drink and relax, or are you kind of stressed out about it, or what do you do?
My palms are a little bit sweaty right now as you're asking me that question.
Sorry to make you
nervous. No, I mean, it's just going to get worse throughout the day anyway. So the nice thing about living in LA is that we have a little outdoor space with a projector and a screen. And also my wife and all of our friends are educators. And so I'm the only one without the vaccine. So it's, you know, with masks outside, 90% of the people vaccinated, or even, you know, more than that, I guess, because there aren't that many people coming over. But we're going to have a couple people outside on our patio, safely watching it with masks on. And yeah, I don't know how I'm going to react. I have like a little bit of a stomach ache. I woke up at like 6:30 this morning, just like ready to go. It's very exciting, and it's, you know, it's a once in a lifetime thing. So, I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Have you been on TV before with other shows or other trivia, or is it something that comes a little natural, or?
Yeah, I mean, I came out to LA to do some acting and comedy and stuff. So in that sense, like I was comfortable with that element of it, with like, you know, I think my story was kind of smooth. I hope. I felt, you know, I wasn't like, I don't know, I wasn't nervous about that part of it, which is lucky, because some people are like, oh my God, I've never been anywhere near anything like this. But no, I've never, I mean, I'll tell this, I don't want to spoil it, but I will tell a story tonight about the last time I was on TV, which was in like the background of a sketch somewhere. But the only other experience I have was I ended up as I think I'm allowed to talk about this, right? Sometimes what they do in LA is, yeah, right, you don't care. What they do in LA is they need people, when they have like new game shows and stuff, they need people to do rehearsals and dress rehearsals, but they can't be real contestants. They need like, you know, neutral people. And so I ended up, I don't even know how it happened, but I ended up being a run-through contestant, like a dress rehearsal contestant for the recent reboot of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And so like a couple weekends last year, I guess it must have been 2 years ago now because of the pandemic, I would go in and like play a mock Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, and do like the dress rehearsal stuff. And I got to meet John Cena and like meet all the kids from the show. And it was really fun. But I hadn't thought about it till you asked, but I think there was a bit of comfort there because I was used to kind of like being on a game show set, but I never actually have been on TV doing that. I was just there as a stand-in.
It can't be any more pressure than being a comedian. My goodness, you much of the comedian contestant. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was a high school English teacher for 5 years, and nothing compares to that. I've been heckled by the most ruthless 15-year-olds you've ever met. So, and a lot of them reached out actually when they found out about Jeopardy, which was so nice. But yeah, if you've been a high school teacher, there's really nothing else that can get under your skin. So I'm very thankful for that experience.
Your old students reached out to you. That's pretty cool.
A lot of them did. Yeah. I mean, I've kept in touch with some of them. One of them is a rapper in Boston. His name's Lewis. He goes by Lou Slums, and he's really good, actually. We've kept in touch. He came to my wife and I were teachers together. And so we had a lot of the same students for 3 years. We taught in the same classroom. So a lot of my students are her students. And so a few of them were at our wedding, which was really nice. And then, yeah, I've been hearing from a bunch of them, and it's very, you know, I get a little emotional when I think about it or when I hear from them. It's very cool.
That's cool. They're like, good luck to you, man. Sorry I was a jerk there in 5th grade.
No, honestly, I had the best kids. I could probably count on one hand in 5 years the number that were jerks. And I was probably a jerk too. I was in my early 20s. I was a jerk to everybody. So who knows?
That's a beautiful thing. Well, what did anything from like Worcester, Boston related come up during the show? Any of those Boston roots help you at all?
I don't think so, because I probably would remember that, but yeah, I don't think so. I guess we'll find out. I promise I'm not trying to be coy. I genuinely don't remember, but I feel like I would remember if anything Worcester came up. I don't think anything Boston came up. But I'll have to tune in and see.
We will see. When did you move out to LA?
2016. So my wife and I were dating at the time, and we came out to California for this teaching fellowship, and we spent a little bit of time in LA. And then that was in 2014. And then that winter, if you remember, was like the worst winter in like 100 years in Boston. And we were kind of like, we're done. Like we're not doing this anymore. And so we started looking, and then we packed up the car and drove out here in 2016.
Especially in Worcester. I remember I was living in Hudson at the time, which is not far from Worcester.
Yeah.
And we were getting walloped with those storms. Man, that was rough.
Yeah, it was bad. I lived in 2016. I lived in Medford at the time, and it was bad. But yeah, Worcester was. I think it actually was like the worst winter in the history of Worcester, which is saying something. Worcester has some famously, historic winters. So, yeah, we just kind of, we realized like we don't have to do this. All the respect in the world to people who live there. We miss our family a bunch, but it's hard. It's hard to miss getting up an hour early to scrape my windshield and skid off the road.
Enough rubbing it in, okay?
Sorry. Hey, it was 50 degrees this morning on my walk with my dog, and I was freezing. So I get it.
See, that's the problem for me. It's the swings. It was 70 a few days ago here, and now I got my winter hat on outside. It's wild.
Yeah, I don't miss it, I'll be honest.
Well, good for you. You mentioned, watching the show out on the back patio and everything. I got very jealous as soon as you said that. That will not be happening for your friends and family here today.
No, I don't think so. No, they're sorry, there's street racers out here. No,
that's a street. That's a street.
Yeah, it's just my street for some reason has a lot of them. Yeah, no, it's just going to be my family watching at home, which, again, like, I obviously wish circumstances were different. I would probably fly home to watch it with them if it were, but there are certainly a lot bigger problems out there that COVID is causing. I'm happy that they get to watch it, and I'm happy that I get to watch it with friends out here. I think it's going to be fun.
Final moments here. I want to switch gears real quickly because I'm the husband of an educator, a teacher, and I know the pandemic has not been easy on teachers. I've seen that firsthand. I give you a whole lot of credit and a whole lot of respect. Your wife, as well as you mentioned, talk about that lifestyle in a pandemic and the obstacles for you along the way.
Yeah, I've been lucky. So I haven't been in the classroom in a few years. I've been I've been working at a nonprofit that works with teachers, and so I feel the same way as you do. I don't really know. Teaching is hard enough, and it's like very cliche. Teaching is really hard. Teachers don't get paid enough, and it's easy to like kind of like make that a throwaway comment. But the amount that teachers were asked to do this year is out of this world. Like, and I will always think they don't get enough credit. And I don't know that I would have made it. I mean, honestly, I don't know that I would have had the fortitude to like do virtual learning for as long as some of these teachers have. So I think it's cool as hell. And I think that's, again, it's cliche, but I think the nonprofit I work for is it's like an education policy nonprofit. And the idea is that we want more teachers to get involved with education policy, right? Because the people who make the decisions about education are largely not teachers, right? For 4 years, the person in charge never even came close to a classroom. So that's kind of a fundamental problem with the education system. And so we're working to get more teachers at the decision-making table. There's a saying that we say to teachers, which is, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And that is kind of the case with teachers. So the more teachers who get involved with that sort of thing and can speak to their own experience firsthand, as opposed to legislators talking about teachers instead of to teachers. I think that's how people are going to get stuff done. So yeah, it's wild.
It is. We see what happens to the economy and the households when kids are not in school. It's amazing how much of a staple that is.
Yeah.
Enough said about that, but certainly big thumbs up to the teachers, which we try to do as much as possible on this show. Brendan Sargent, we always end with rapid fire. Real quickly, first thing that comes to your head. I would think that would not be a problem for you being a teacher.
Well, we'll see. I'm a little bit nervous about this, but we'll see. I'm worried I'll say the wrong thing, but let's go for it.
Well, let's see if we can get you in trouble right off the bat being in California now. Favorite sports team?
Boston Red Sox.
All right. So we haven't changed because
I actually watched them. I watched them beat the Dodgers in person in 2018. I was at that game, and it was and I love the Dodgers. I will say I really have adopted them as my second team, but distant second.
There you go. That's going to be a big plus around here. Nicely done. Favorite musician?
James Taylor.
Very nice.
I actually think. Wait a minute. Yeah, I have a James Taylor shirt on right now. I saw him at the Hollywood Bowl a couple years ago, right after I got married. I had never seen him live before, and it was, it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. I love the guy.
And he is a Grammy winner this week. He's in the news.
Oh, did he win a Grammy this year?
He won a Grammy.
That's amazing. Yeah, he's the best, man. I just love him. There isn't a song I don't like. Yeah,
he is great. He accepted it from it was all virtual. He was on a chairlift going up the mountains, I think like Vermont or something.
Of course he was.
Typical James. Favorite class in school back in the day?
It's got to be English. I ended up being an English teacher. I loved history class because my history teacher was also the Model UN guy. Sorry, these aren't speed round. Keep going. English is my answer.
Favorite movie?
The Count of Monte Cristo, the 2002 one with Jim Caviezel and Guy Pearce.
Favorite comedian?
I think I got to say Mike Birbiglia. He's from Worcester. He's from Shrewsbury. I think he's a brilliant storyteller. I've been following his career for like as long as I've been into comedy. He's the best.
What do you miss most about East Coast living?
How easy it is to spend time with friends and family. I think that's the hardest thing, just being away from friends and family. 9
a.m. football, though, and stuff. That's kind of good, right?
That really cannot be overstated how great that is, because even things like the Super Bowl are over by 7:30 p.m. and I can have a bunch of Pepto-Bismol and go to sleep by 9. Oh, incredible.
We could so relate on that front. And who's got so you said the lifestyle's better out there. You like the warmer weather. Who's funnier, West Coast or East Coast? What makes you laugh more, the people on the West Coast or the East Coast?
Oh, boy. I mean, I would say relative to their East, it's got to be East Coast, right? Like there are comedians that live out here, but in terms of just general population, East Coast for sure.
A little more attitude here, right?
Yeah. A little, when you grow up and it's 18 degrees for 5 months out of the year, you kind of have to develop an edge.
It all comes back to the weather. All right, Brendan, man, I will let you go. I know you got a busy day. You're getting ready to watch this show tonight, but thank you for taking a few moments. I don't know what to do. I don't really wish you good luck. It's already been done. I wish you good luck in watching yourself. How about that?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'll take whatever you got. I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the night. And it was great of you to do this. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it too. Take care.